So folks, we're back with you for the second half of tonight's entertainment. And entertainment it is, there's no doubt about it. Next Gen Racing Proto, which is prototypes with two different cars, the LDMH being A class and the LMP3 being A class as well. And both of them riding together and making up the series as we know it and love it. Right, so let's have a look at the grid. It's going to be the... this is going to be interesting. This is the inverted grid. Just look at that one. Oh my goodness gracious me. This is going to be something else. From the top end down on that total invert. Just look at that. Gazza Williams in there as well. Dory Ricciuti, Jorge Bentes and Dan Piazza Sr. going to be coming off the back end of the pack. They were first, second and third respectively in their class, being the LMP3s. So here we go, a 1 hour race. This is going to be interesting stuff. This is where you really need to concentrate. Keep it all together. As they work their way around, let's put up a little track map there for you. Mike Riedner is in the pits. He'll be starting from the pits. Oh, this is going to be something else. Just waiting for that pace car to go. For those of you that just joined us, this is where we are, Fuji International Raceway, racing in the prototypes. Just waiting for those green lights to go on. David and Nick on the front row of the grid, Duncan Murray, Craig Tillotson. I think Craig might fancy these chances with this one, starting a whole lot closer to the front end of the pack as they work their way down towards turn number 1. Everybody going to get through there nice and neatly. Everybody keeping enough space between themselves. 3 abreast further back, but they all get through somehow or other. They all made it through there. That's brilliant stuff. I love it when the guys try and do it 100% correct. So the man that started in pole position, David Bukeki, he has held on to that. Nick Libbins in there behind him. Then it's Duncan Murray, Jochen Skid, Sam J. Smith, Dan Downing, Baz Meacham, Igor Martinez, Frigotto, Stokiakis, Stefan Vessels and McCliskey. They always seem to be very, very close to one another. And Benjamin McCliskey, let's ride on board with Benjamin McCliskey. He's right in there behind the man that he knows is going to be going to the front end of the pack. It's just a matter of time. No doubt about it. Stefan Vessels, as they finish off the first lap. Well, he's got that one car between the two of them, but he'll dive out and just get into the slipstream. Here you can see all three of them together. Gaza Williams in there as well. Is he going to go for it now already? Oh, they make contact, but luckily it all goes well. No problem there. And Stefan Wessel still stays ahead at this point. Brilliant stuff. Let's have a look at those gaps. Where is the closest? Well, McCliskey is the closest at this stage of the fight to making any kind of maneuver. But he's got Justice Stakiokis and Gaza Williams right in there behind him. Jochen Siegert is starting to make maneuvers, and he moves up that one position. He goes ahead of Sam J. Can Sam fight? Oh, Sam touches him, and it looks like they're both going to go off. Oh, what a pity. It was such a lovely battle between the two of them, and unfortunately that didn't work. Gustavo Fricotto trying to get that position back. They're running side by side. Just look at that whole cars as they work their way out into the front main. Chris Beecham is right in there as well. Pick a line. Either you sit on the inside or the outside. You can't do both of them. And still McCliskey behind Wessels. Wessels working his way through. McCliskey just follows him wherever he goes. Wessels is very good getting through the traffic. He's already worked his way a long way up, as Stefan Wessels. He's really a class act. Stefan Wessels goes. He's just got past Igor Martinez and Baz Meacham on the same lap. So he's making up positions hand over fist at this stage of the fight. Remember, we've got 6 different rounds, we've got 6 different circuits, but the man that started at the front end of the pack, David Gugakeki, he is holding on very, very well. Look at that, for a man that battled in race number 1. Duncan Murray is still a bit of a distance behind him. Him and Nick Clibbins in a pretty decent fight. Clibbins will probably get the draft on him. He's very, very close. Can Nick Clibbins dive out at the right point? I think he's going to be able to. I think he will be able to. 50 hundredths of a second, 7 thousandths of a second, and he's got that one right. Let's have a look at the other. Or has he got it? Yes, he has. Let's have a look at the other group of cars that's coming down. Fricotto, Wessels, Martinez, McCliskey, Beecham, Stakiokis. Nothing much between that group. Clibbins and Duncan Murray. Nothing much between the two of them. Duncan Murray, a man that also rides in the South African series, the MSA Motorsport. Oopsie! He runs it wide. He runs it wide, and Duncan Murray drops down a position. Nick Clibbins goes through. Duncan Murray drops down 1. Looks like Martinez has been in, or Dan Downing also had a crash. Let's see what happened to Dan Downing. Oh, all the cars go past while you're battling to try and get it into control again. And then Fricotto had a bit of an incident earlier on as well. Let's have a look at that one. Oh, that cost him so much. That's the last thing you want to happen when there's such small gaps between everybody, and then that kind of thing happens to you. Well, they got it going pretty quickly again. So Mark Baker's had a bit of an incident. Oh, he just went right off the circuit. Oh, that's taken 3 cars out of it. Dory Ricciuti involved with that as well. Mark Sykes managed to get back on circuit, but then Sykes had an incident after that. Let's see what happened to Sykes. Climbs on the brakes and gears it down. And if you gear these cars down while you're on the brakes, well, it's very, very difficult to hold on to it. Stefan Wessels, Duncan Murray. Stefan Wessels has just gone past Duncan Murray. Duncan Murray is going to fight back, but Stefan Wessels will make up that one. So Wessels has got a bit of a gap between himself and Benjamin McCluskey. There's the blue car, there's the red car. Just one car between them. So the man that leads out, it's amazing. Look at this. He's got a 5.8 second gap from the rest of the field. There comes Clibbins, there comes Stefan Wessels, Duncan Murray, Benjamin McCluskey, Stocky Otis as they come across the line. Gazza Williams in there as well. He missed out on the first race, the short race. And I was told he had a bit of an emergency that he had to look at. So he's got that sorted out. And he managed to come and join us. So Benjamin McCluskey on the back of Duncan Murray. He knows he's got to get past Duncan Murray pretty quickly, because if Stefan Wessels gets too far away, you ain't going to catch him. Not at all. Let's ride on board and see what it looks like, because he's probably going to go for that passing maneuver when they get into the front main. Climbing those curbstones hard. Up towards next corner, very difficult corner. Look at this third gear. Play with the accelerator, tickle it, play with it, tickle it, oversteer, understeer, close it down, look a little bit further forward. There Stefan Wessels is getting away, bang, up the inside he goes. Makes that one stick. That's not a problem. Well, he's got a long side, it doesn't stick yet, but I don't think he'd have too much problem with that one. He is on the right side of the circuit. Problem is, he's now 2.1 seconds off Stefan Wessels. Stefan Wessels just a little bit ahead of that. There is Stefan, and he is now closing down on Clibbins. And David Lukakeki is still up front. And he's still got 6. Oh, that was a bit tight. He's still got a 6-second gap on Stefan Wessels. So let's have a look at the lap times that they are doing at the moment now. Keeping in mind that Stefan Wessels is going through traffic, even with that, he was still 0.8 of a second quicker than Dugakeki, who's at the front end of the field. So it's not going to take him too long to be able to get there. Nick Clibbins has got McCluskey right in there behind him. Duncan Murray losing out a little bit on the two that's in front of him. They've got 1.4 seconds to Benjamin McCluskey. Well, let's have a look at our LMP3 guys, and the man that was the fastest qualifier and led most of the sprint race is back where he wants to be. Dan Piazza Senior, and he's got a little bit of a gap on Sean Skitter. There's Skitter in there behind him. Skitter doing a pretty decent job at this stage of the fight. Jorge Bentes not too far behind them, but then behind that a big gap back to Mark Baker. So the front three that have broken away completely at this stage of the fight in the LMP3 class, as Justice Stakiokis is having a go at the back end of Duncan Murray. So Duncan Murray has been chewed up. Oopsie, somebody's just gone off. That's Mark Sykes. Well, it was, first of all, it was Dori Rikiuti that crashed. Let's see if we can pick up that one. Comes into the corner quite fine. A little bit too much curbstone, and the back end comes around. So that all worked out fine. He got going. Then Igor Martinez, he had a crash, and he came back out onto the circuit. I saw that he virtually stopped like that, waiting for a gap. So that all worked out quite fine. Make sure he didn't affect anybody. Mark Sykes running it a bit wide. holding on to that one in our multicolored car. Oh, realize how many of the replays is all on the exact same piece of circuit on that corner. Everybody battling on that exact same spot. Sam Smith had a bit of an off circuit. Let's see what happened to him. No, he just ran it completely wide, and that's why it shows an off circuit for him. So lots and lots of action that's happening up there, and the man that started in pole position on the invert is still ahead of Stefan Wessels, and that by a very decent margin, 5.4 seconds on that man, Stefan Wessels. Nick's having a very good run. He's only 1.7 behind Stefan. Yes, Stefan has passed him, but he's managed to keep Benjamin McCliskey behind him. Now, McCliskey, we know, has to hold on to the back of Wessels to stand any chance of beating him whatsoever. Once Wessels gets away, that's it. It's the end of the story. Cheers, good night. Have a nice day. It's all over, bar the shouting. So McCliskey will go for the move on Clibbins. He's on that inside line. Yep, he gets past without too much problem. Comes across onto the racing line. Look at this gaggle of cars coming through behind that. And that is Justice that went up initially, made up the position. Duncan Maria says, where do you think you're going, Sonny? Go straight back to where you were. And Baz Meacham is in 7th overall. So let's just take that little graphic off there. So Nick Clibbins, I think, is looking pretty decent at this stage of the fight. If he can somehow hold out on ooh, David's gone. Something happened to David. Let's see if I can maybe pick that one up for you. Ooh, he had a crash. The man that was leading from pole position, he had a massive gap. Comes up to do a passing maneuver. Oh, makes contact with a back marker. Takes him completely out of it. There comes Stefan Wessels. Directly behind that. Oh, McCliskey just makes it through there as well. And he is ahead of Clibbins now as well. So Nick Clibbins eventually has to, I'll let him go. It's one of those things. He is very, very good. Nick Clibbins being passed by Benjamin McCliskey. Justice Stakiokis. He's busy working his way kind of neatly through the back, but oh, Bez is involved in a big battle. Oh, who was that went off? Let's see if we can pick that one up for you. I think it was Paul Williams was the man that went off there. Surprisingly enough, this man that was leading, he's just gone back into the pits. That's very strange. What a pity, because on the invert he was doing brilliantly, and he stayed ahead for so long. Gazza Williams in the house. Gazza Williams in there behind Baz Meacham as they come out into the front main. Out of front corner, down the front main towards Daiichi. That's the first corner, Daiichi. Gazza closing all the time. Don't think he's going to be able to make it stick this time around. See, David Dukowski is still in the pits. I think he's decided he's had enough. He's just parked that car. He says, no, this one is not for me. So let's go to the front end of the field. Stefan Wessels, 13 positions up. Just in there behind him, Benjamin McCliskey, 11 positions up. Not that far. Ooh, all over those curbstones. Nick Gibbons doing exactly the same, using the whole circuit and a little bit more. He's one position down. He started in second and he's now in third. So he's had a very, very good run as Nick Gibbons. Justice has moved up 6 positions. So, getting the tail end out, getting the hammer down hard and early. Really pushing the edges is Justice Stakiakis. Look at the battle royal behind that. Baz Meacham and Gazza's right in there behind him. Gazza still trying to close down on Baz Meacham, has not been able to get it right yet. Slowly but surely. Sam J not that far behind. There's Sam J. Behind that is Paul Williams. Behind that is Dan Downing. Then we've got Duncan Murray. I see another car going into the pits. Still leading out with the LMP3s. The fastest qualifier, the man that led most of a race number 1. And that is Dan Piazza Sr. And he's got a pretty decent gap there on Jorge Benitez. Finds himself once again in the top 3. Jorge Benitez in the LMP3s. Then Sean Skitter is 2 positions down. Remember, Dan came off the back of the pack, so he was at the back of the LMPs, and he's made up 6 positions. Jorge's made up a whole bunch of positions. In fact, Jorge has made up 9 positions in total. From the beginning of the race until now. Gazza Williams trying everything. He just cannot close that gap. They're lying 5th and 6th in class, and while he's stuck behind Baz, Justice Stakiakis is just breaking away ahead of them. It looks like everybody's going to be doing pit stops in this one. Wouldn't be surprised. I haven't got any information on whether people are doing pit stops or not. Let's see who has been in and out of the pits. Rigoto's been in, Martinez has been in. Looks like Tobolowski's back out on circuit again. So Dory Richuti and Jochen Sigurd, both of them are out of it. They've backed up for the night. Let's have a look at the gains and losses. Stefan Wessels, 13 positions up. Can you believe it? I think Nick Gibbons at this point is my driver for this race. 19 minutes into the hour, and he didn't have a great race to start the evening as such, and he's starting 3rd. He's dropped down to 2nd, but he's still got a 5.5 second gap on Stakiakis, so he's doing very, very well, is Nick Gibbons. Can he hold on to Mukiski and Wessels? No, nobody can hold on to those two. There is Justice. There comes Gazza. And looks like he did get past eventually. Yeah, let's have a look and see how that passing maneuver actually happened. That was Igor Martinez. There's Gazza Williams. And that's where he made it. Was going down into Diachi. So, having done those numerous times down the straight that he closed right up and just couldn't make it stick, well, now he's done it all right and he's got through there. Dan Piazza Sr., 12th on circuit, 9 positions up in total, leading out in the LMP3 class. Got Igor Martinez behind him, but that's a LDMH, and then behind that is Jorge Benitez, who once again finds himself in the top 3. Jorge Benitez not far behind him. Look at that, Sean Skitter. Let's go to the battle box up where we can see who be where. Gazza Williams up 11 positions, McCluskey up 11, Vessels up 13. Now David Diaguki, who started on the front row of the grid, led for a long time, had an off, and then went into the pits. He's now a long way back. I'm not too sure why he went into the pits at that stage. Maybe he had a bit of damage in the motor car. It's quite possible, and that's why he then decided to go into the pits. So let's go from the top end down. Stefan Vessels, Mr. High School, Mr. Consistency in there behind him. Benjamin McCluskey. Here comes Nick Clevens. Justice Stakiakis right in there behind him. And Gazza's in the house. Here he comes. Remember, 1.8 of Justice. Remember that amount, 1.8. We'll have a look, see how it goes after that. Oh dear, we've got a whole series of crashes. Let's see what happened for Mark Baker. Oh, gets the tail end to come around. So that wasn't too bad. Then Sean Skitter, he had an incident as well. Coming up to do the pass. Oh, hard on the brakes, locks up the inside the wheels. And unfortunately that created contact between him and Jorge Benitez. That's from Benitez's point of view. Oh, two cars fighting for the same piece of property. What a pity about that. And I mean, he really tried. Look how he locked up the brakes. But so be it. All's fair in love and war. It's one of those things. And I see Igor Martinez has also had a bit of an off track. I think it just he just went a little bit wide. Yep. Going over the curbstones, and he gets it back on the circuit. 24 minutes of the hour, that is done. Craig Tillertson's made up a couple of positions. He's looking quite fine. I think he'll be pretty happy with that one. Sam J, where does he find himself? He's down in 7th position. He started in 6th, he's now in 7th. Sam J in there behind Baz Meacham. 3 seconds between the two of them. Where's Baz? Baz already gone around the corner. There you can see the gap between the two of them, both of them in the same shot. So the gaps are starting to open up now. There's not a lot of tight battles out there. From the top end down, Stefan Vessels, 13 positions up. Benjamin McCluskey, 11 positions up. Nick Clevens, 1 position down, but holding out on Justice. Remember, Justice 5 seconds. Still 5 seconds. Justice can't close him down. Gazza's in the house. He's 2 seconds further back. Baz Beecham in that 6th position. And then the next man that's going to come through behind that, Sam J. Paul Williams. Dan Downing. He's also a gold class entry. And then a bit of a gap back to Duncan Murray. Frigotta not having a good one this time around. Gustav Frigotta, he's only made up 1 position. I would have thought he would have made up a lot more than that. But it's one of those things. It's some you win, some you lose. And the person that he actually passed was Igor Martinez. 1 up for the one down for the other. David is back out on the track, Lugo Kiki, and that pit stop's dropped him all the way towards the back end of the queue of 13 LDMH vehicles, and he finds himself 9 seconds of Igor Martinez, but a half a minute between Igor Martinez and Duncan Murray. PROTO just made up a position. Sam Smith has just had an incident. Let's see what happened to Sam. Oh, just a little bit too much curbstone on the outside, and another man that's had a problem is Duncan Murray. Comes through there quite fine, just climbs on the loud pedal a little bit too much, a little bit too quickly, and unfortunately that does turn him around. Still leading out in the LMP3s, Dan Piazza Sr. What a lovely looking motor car that is, Dan Piazza Sr. And he's got the better part of 24 seconds gap from Sean Skitter, so he's probably not having to push whatsoever at this stage of the fight. He's quite fine. Jorge Benitez in the game, try and make up that position. Very close to one another. Fuji circuit, as we said, was built in 1966. It was only remodeled many years later, and in fact since the year 2000 Fuji International is owned by Toyota. So there you go, some frivolous information. Fuji International owned by Toyota. There's going to be contact between those two, and the man that just came out of the pits has to go the long way around. Just flick that LMP3 around. Jorge Benitez, and now the front end of the pack. Let's just have a look who has been into the pits. Everybody in the first 8 has not been into the pits at all. Everybody behind that has already done a pit stop. We are almost halfway through this event, a 1 hour race. We started off with a 25-minute oopsie. Benitez from the lead in his class, and Skitter hits the front. Just that one little error, that was all it took, and Sean Skitter will be super chuffed with that one. The number 12, he started in 2nd position, and he's now gone to the front end of the pack. He must now just not make any mistakes. There's another one that's busy going into the pits. There he goes. Everybody on the 30-minute mark dives into the pits. There's Sean Skitter, Jorge Benitez, Paul Williams is also in there as well. So can Skitter get out of the pits first? That is the thing. There's Skitter, there's Benitez. Is either of the two going to change positions up on the jacks, change the wheels? Benitez is on the move. Benitez is on the move, and so is Skitter, but Benitez is going to be just ahead of him, and Jorge Benitez will be ahead now of Sean Skitter as they come out of the pits. Can you believe it? It's the way you set it up, and I think you've got to set it up before the time, exactly what you want done on the motor car, how much fuel you want to add to it as well. And just that second and a half is what it's all about. Mark Sykes and Mike Ridner on their way out of the pits as well. They've also done their stops. I think just about everybody has now been into the pits. No, not at all. The front boys, none of them have been in. Mike Ridner on his way out of the pits. Where's Gazza Williams? 11 positions up and having a blast. Can you believe it? 11 positions, Gazza Williams, and he's closing up on Justice Stakiakis. He's driving very, very hard with that motor car, holding nothing back. Turns it in nice and tight, gets hard on the gas pretty quickly. Stakiakis is starting to feel the pressure. Let's have a look at their last lap times. Yeah, that's why 23.5 by Gazza, 24.0 by Justice. And that's where the problem comes in. Now some of the Brigittes starting to work their way into the pits. McCluskey's in, Vessels is in. There's Nick Clivens. There's McCluskey, that's the red one. Directly behind him, the blue one, Stefan Vessels. Nick Clivens also still standing still. Stefan Vessels is about to make his way out of the pits. There goes Stefan Vessels. And who's behind him? Benjamin McCluskey. In the 28 car. Representing UK and Ireland. And through Delici corner he goes. So, who has not been into the pits yet? Because I think the top two, yep, Justice Stakiakis and Gazza Williams. Now, will they change positions when they go in and out of the pits? We saw that happen earlier on with the front end with Ventes and Skitter. Probably find both of them are now going to go into the pits. They're already on 34 minutes. So there they go in. Justice Stakiakis, Gazza Williams. Where is Stefan Vessels? He's the lead car. There he comes up. Gazza's still in the pits. Justice is still in the pits. Stefan Vessels says, thanks guys. Cheers and goodbye. I'll just come straight past you. Stefan Vessels goes back to the front. 13 vehicles that he's passed. Benjamin McCluskey comes through. And Stakiakis Justice, he's on his way out of the pits, so he might hold on ahead of Clivens. Clivens must be very close. Nope, Nick Clivens has gone through. There's Clivens. Clivens has gone through, so Nick Clivens ahead of Justice Stakiakis. There comes Baz Meacham. Gazza's now in the pits. He'll be working his way out of the pit lane. Gustavo Frigotto is the next man that's going to come through, and he has already come through. There is Frigotto. Here comes Sam J. Gazza's going to come out behind them. Will he make it ahead of Duncan Murray? Yup, he's got 8 seconds on Duncan Murray, so that's quite fine. 35, almost 36 minutes into the hour race at Fuji International Clockwise Circuit. Rolling start, bonus points for pole and the fastest lap, and the man that's made up the most positions. And now pulling away from Benjamin McCluskey is Stefan Wessels. Nick Klibbens not that far behind, he's on the straight with them. Justice Stakiakos. Baz Meacham. Here comes Paul Williams out of the last corner, also known as Panasonic. Next man in there behind Paul Williams is Dan Downs. So Mr. Frigotto, Gustavo Frigotto, just doesn't work for him. He's still down in 8th position. On previous viewings of Gustavo, I would have thought that he would have been a little bit higher up. But unfortunately, this time it hasn't worked for him. So let's have a look at those gains and losses. Up 13, up 11, down 1. That stayed exactly the same. Stakiakos is up 6, Baz is up 4, Paul's up 2, Dan Downing started in 7th, still in 7th. Frigotto 4 places up, but Frigotto is just not making up those places. It just doesn't want to work for him. Ahead of Sam Smith, who's gone down 3 positions, and Tillotson, that was at the back at the qualifying, he's now once again dropped to the back of the pack in this one as well. So let's go back to those intervals. Everybody has done the pit stops. Just for interest, let's have a look at the top speeds. Who has got the highest top speed out there? Baz Beecham, 3:07. 3:11 for Duncan Murray and Kiki. So that must have been when you do a serious slipstream, probably a 2-3-4 car slipstream, to be able to get that type of a top speed. Stefan Wessels still leading out. His biggest rival, McCluskey. 16 seconds they've taken out of Nick Klibbens. Justice is right there with him. Let's ride on board with Justice and let's see what it looks like as they work their way through that last corner out into the front main. Oh, you see he had to counteract that steering up into 5th gear. Let's have a look at the speeds. 280 kilometers an hour, 7th gear, 290, 297, 299, 300 kilometers an hour in 7th gear, from 300 down to literally 80 kilometers an hour. So that means you're scrubbing off 220 kilometers an hour when you come down into the brake markers at Daiichi. 220 kilometers an hour. There's a lot of people on this planet that have never even done 200 kilometers an hour, never mind braking 200 kilometers an hour. Gonna have to make that passing maneuver right around the outside to try and stay ahead. Justice right in there behind Nick Klibbens, hammering the under tray on that motor car up towards the next corner. Just listen to how he plays with the oh, there he runs wide, and Nick Klibbens made the error, and that is gonna be very difficult to make that one up again. Let's just have a look at that passing maneuver. Just ran a little bit wide and up on the inside, and he makes that one stick. Justice Stakiakos now ahead of Nick Klibbens, so that means that he then drops down 2 positions in total since the beginning of the race. Dan Downing's had a bit of an issue. Let's see what happened to Dan Downing. Oh, just too much curbstone, and that creates a 3-car incident. Oh dearie me. Mark Baker was the one that went off track. So Mark Baker actually started that one. Standing there for a long time. Flick the tail end around. Nope, he just turns it around. Now Gustavo Frigotta has gone back into the pits. Well, he's on his way out now. Does that mean that he's been in a second time? Yes. Frigotta and Downing both having made 2 pit stops. So that must be to fix up a bit of damage. Wow, what a turn up for the books. This one has been amazing stuff as we watch them work their way around. Jorge Benitez still ahead of Sean Schutter. Ooh, very close. Very, very close, that one. There you can see a breakdown of the laps. Everybody on the lead lap up into 9th position is all on the lead lap. Thereafter 1 lap down to 15th position, and then 3 laps down, Jorge Benitez. But remember, that is the LMP3s, not the LMDH-s, so that explains why that is the way that it is. Jorge Benitez doing a brilliant job. He's just keeping it nice and smooth. 12 seconds he's got on Sean Schutter. 33 back to Mike Riedner. And 1 minute 13 back to Mark Baker. We've lost out on Mark Sykes. We've lost out on Dan Piazza Sr. Wow. Let's see what can maybe happen to Dan Piazza Sr. that he is out. I can maybe find out what happened there, because that's 2 laps back already. Unless there was just too much damage on the car. I can't find an incident that he's been in at all, so I find that quite strange. I'd love to know what happened to Dan Piazza Sr. Unless he's had connectivity problems or something same or similar, because I don't see any incidents for him whatsoever. That's very strange. Oh well, it is what it is, and it's not a problem for this man. His name is Stefan Wessels. He's leading out from that man, Stefan McCluskey. Stakiakis 23 seconds further back. Shall we say the best of the rest? He's still very good. He's not in the same class as Wessels and McCluskey, but he's quick enough to stay ahead of everybody else, including that man coming into view now. That's Nick Clibbins. Nick has got a decent gap on the colourful Baz Meacham. He's got 13 seconds on Paul Williams with 15 minutes to go. He's got 8 seconds on Sam J. Love that colour scheme. Oh, beautiful stuff. And who's in there behind him? Gazza is in the house. It's closing down. Trying to make up yet another position. passing the LMP3 that just moves out of the way. That's very nice. Up the hill. Feather the accelerator. This is where you really got to be so smooth on the accelerator, not go too far towards the outside. A short squirt towards the outside of the circuit, but not too far. Turn it in nice and tight. See those yellow curbstones that's in between. Those little yellow curbstones that runs 90 degrees to the circuit. They are very high, and it can throw you very, very quickly and easily off the circuit. So you got to make sure that you don't cut it too tight. Jorge Benitez, what a boyki. Still holding on ahead of Skitter. Let's have a look at those intervals. There's the intervals. Gazza still on the back of Sam J as we watch Jorge Benitez leads out with the LMP3s from Sean Skitter, and that by 14 seconds. Mike Riedner 38 seconds further back. I like that photo. Then Mark Baker, he finds himself a minute further back. Getting right out of the way for the LDMH car to make sure that there's no problems. We've got to go back to Gazza. Gazza's on the move. I think he's going to make it stick this time around. Yep, he does. And Gazza Williams gets past Sam J. 23 seconds further back to Duncan Murray with just 12 minutes, almost 11 minutes to go in this hour. Lost out on Mark Sykes, Dan Piazza Sr., Jochen Sigurd, and Dory Ricciuti. Pity about Dan Piazza Sr. He had such, I mean, he was the fastest qualifier. He led most of the race, had an incident and dropped right back. Then in this 1 hour race, he sliding it through there is Gazza Williams, and it was going all right for him, and then all of a sudden he disappeared. Maybe it's connectivity problems, because I cannot find anywhere that he was in an incident at all. Alan McCain has just had a bit of a off. Oh, that's too much curbstone. Oh, now that's miles too much curbstone. Spins it right around, brings the nose around kind of neatly, gets it going pretty quickly, didn't lose too much time. The bike racer Alan McCain, iRacing eSports, gets it back together again. Sean Skitter went off track. Maybe it was just a little bit wide. Yep, everybody goes just a little bit wide there, so that's not a problem. So from the top end down, Stefan Wessels. 6-second gap on McCliskey. They've now got even further away from Justice. He's got a 10-second gap on Nick. 6 seconds back to Baz. 17 seconds as it comes through the last corner. Back to Paul Williams. But keep in mind, we've been going for 51 minutes already. Just 9 minutes to go. Is Gazza going to try and make up yet another position? Let's have a look at the last lap times. a 1:23.9, a 1:25.2. Paul Williams has got a problem. Paul Williams has got a problem, and it's called Gaza, because Gaza's closing down at a serious rate of knots. Craig Tillerton's back into the pit lane, so it's not going very well for him at all. Gaza Williams doing a lovely job, making up a good number of positions. Let's see exactly how many. 9 positions up. Fantastic stuff. That's the third highest number of passes of everybody. The most passes made by Stefan, then Benjamin on 13 and 11, and then Gaza 9 positions up and closing on Paul Williams as well. That's the man he's got to try and catch, but he's only got 7.5 minutes to do it. That car looks so far ahead. Let's have a look, see what kind of lap times they're going to put up here. .24.512, taking half a second out of him. Is there enough time? Well, I think Gaza's going to catch Paul. To get past him is going to be another story. Using a lot of revs on that Cosworth power plant. Right down to second gear. They want to pick up the slower car, the wrong position, and that's going to cost him. That's going to cost him. If there was a chance, I think the chance has just gone out of the window, because that's going to mean that he's got a lot slower lap time. That must have cost him close to a second at that stage of the fight. And Gaza is now 2.1. Well, he's actually made it down to 2 already. That's going to cost him dearly. Unfortunately, you pick up the slower car, and not because of bad driving, it's purely because the LDMHs are so much quicker than the LMP3s, and you can't get through a corner as quick with the LMP3s. So Gaza on a 1:25.3, that makes him a 10th slower, and he was taking 5/10ths out before that. And unfortunately, it hasn't worked for him now. So let's have a quick run through the field. Seeing we've only got 6 minutes to go. Stefan Wessels doing what he does best, to lead them out. Here comes McCliskey, 7 seconds further back. It was 25, it's now 27 seconds back to Justin Stakiakis. Further back in the background, you'll see there comes Nick Clibbins, 13 seconds further back. There comes Baz, 17 seconds back to Paul Williams, and he's been closed down by about 0.8 of a second already. They were on 2 seconds after Gaza tried to make that passing maneuver on the LMP3. And let's see what lap times they put up now. There's going to be more than a second gap that he's going to have made up when they come across the line. A 1:23.8, a 1:24.9, or 1.1 seconds. He's still in with a chance. Gaza can make it up into that 6th position, still outside of the top 5. Jorge Bentes still leading out his class, and Jorge 14 seconds ahead of Sean Skitter. Finds himself 49 seconds ahead of Mike Ridner. Mark Baker in the top 4 in class. And unfortunately, there's only 4 of them that are going to finish this one, course, Mark, Dan and Dory are all out of it. They're not going any further. They said have a nice day. Not going to be able to go any further than that. Jorge Benitez, what a lovely drive. Leading out his class pretty handsomely. Consistently taking little nibbles out of the gap between himself and Sean Skitter. Lap for lap, he just nibbles little pieces away. Makes it work. 3 minutes to go. We've got to go back to Williams. He's closing down. Remember, there was 2 seconds. They're now down to 0.5. But there is only probably max 2 laps to go for him to be able to make that move. Gazza didn't do race number 1, the sprint race. But now he's within fighting distance on Paul Williams. Paul can't go any further forward. He's got 17 seconds between himself and Baz. So all he can do now is try and hold out Williams, and I don't know if he's going to be able to cover the line. Moves across towards the inside. He's got to close that inside line off. He's got to move further towards the right hand side. He's got to close it off because Williams is right there behind him. Forces Gazza to dive for the outside. Williams lives to fight another day. Hard on the gas. I think Gazza's going to have it, although he's on the outside line. Can he make it? Oof, he makes it through. No contact between the two of them. This is battle royal with 1.5 minutes to go. You've got to be careful at this point. It's nice to make up that extra last position just before the end of the race, but if you go and win it at this stage of the fight, not only do you mess up your own race, you mess up the other person's race as well. So you don't want to get yourself into that kind of situation. Let's see, whereabouts is our leaders on the circuit. Stefan Wessels. Yeah, it looks like there's going to be another lap to come still. He works his way through turn 13, turn 14, and Nets corner. Up towards Panasonic. And once again we have a situation where I think he's going to end up doing another lap. Let's see what the computer decides. Are they going to call it on this lap, or is it going to go 1 lap further? I think it's going to go 1 lap further. Yep, he's already going across the line. So starting his last lap is Stefan Wessels. Benjamin McCliskey within view, but it's only a view. Justin Stakliakos, they've now taken 32 seconds out of Justice, so they definitely making a nice big gap there. Nick Gibbons 18 seconds further back. There's not much that he can do at this point, apart from trying to stay ahead of that man, Baz Meacham. And looks like Gazza has gone past. Let's have a look at that passing maneuver. That was the one where Gazza went past Paul Williams. And it's time for Stefan Wessels to take yet another victory. Can you believe it? What a brilliant drive by Stefan Wessels once again. Amazing stuff. What a brilliant driver. Takes the checkered flag. Here comes his biggest rival, Benjamin McCliskey. as he comes across the line, 34 seconds further back. Shall we say the best of the rest? And I mean, to be beaten by Stefan Wessels and Benjamin McCluskey, there's nothing to be ashamed of, because they are top class. Here comes Justice Stakiokis out into the front main. He'll take that third place quite happy. Baz Meacham 18 seconds further back. Don't forget about Jorge Benitez and Sean Skitter. They've still got to come across the line as well. Here comes Baz Meacham. There's Nick Clibbins. Gaza having got past, but not making a gap on Paul Williams. He did make up that extra position, so you'll be pretty chuffed with that. Sam J comes across the line, and that pretty much wraps it up. Can you believe it? An hour of action. Let's have a look at those results. Driver of the day, Stefan Wessels, class act. Hardest trier, Benjamin McCluskey. Best of the rest, Justice Stakiokis. Hard drive for the day, I would give that to Gaza Williams. Jorge Benitez staying ahead of Sean Skitter in the LMP3 class. I think you'll be quite happy with that. The Mike Ridner entry coming through in third, and that will be first, second and third in that class. Well folks, that pretty much wraps it up for us for this evening. A big thanks to all of our sponsors: Power Max, Benji Sim, Douglas Motorsport, Higgins Automotive, Joyce Design, Motorsport UK Esports, Mark Sykes Designs, and Sam Cases. A big thanks to all of these guys that help to make it possible for us to do what we do, and loving this next gen racing. This was probably I think, and I'm going to make a statement here, and I hope I'm going to be correct. I think this is the biggest gaps that you're going to see between the cars for all the races in season 4 of Proto, because being the opening round, there was a fair amount of space between the cars, but as time goes by, I think you're going to get those gaps going to get closer and closer, and it's going to make for some brilliant racing. My name is Gary Fleming from Second Gear Productions from the friendly and lovely city of Cape Town. It's been an honor and a pleasure to be here with you, and I'll join you next week for the next round of Next Gen Racing. Cheers everybody, and good night.